All right, what's happening? So we're finally back. UFC's finally back. Took a little break there. It was pretty annoying actually having no fights to watch on the weekend, but hey, we're finally back, and I would say this is probably the sleeper card out of all the other ones because all the other ones coming up are pretty stacked. Um, this is a decent card, I would say. They got a couple, big names, OG names, Jim Miller and Arlovsky. Nobody's got more fights than those guys. But just announced, so this just announced right now. Dana White announced it. Charles Oliveira taking on Armin Sarukian, UFC 300 title eliminator. And man, that probably means Islam won't be fighting on UFC 300 because I don't know who we'd fight unless they put him against Gaethje or something. But man, that fight right there is for real. And I think Armin Sarukian, I'll tell you right now, you better bet on that boy because he's going to come through and, I think he's going to crush Charles Oliveira. Curious to see the odds because, I haven't seen Charles Oliveira as a big underdog too many times. The last time was to Islam. I'd be very curious to see how big of an underdog he is against Armin Sarukian because I do think he's going to be an underdog because Armin Sarukian is for real, man. So also, Benoit Saint Denis taking on Dustin Poirier, UFC 299 co-main event. That shows you how big of a fucking savage Dustin Poirier is. He just got knocked out by Gaethje. Now he's coming in taking on Benoit Saint Denis, a guy who doesn't have really a big name, but he's a savage. So shout out to Dustin Poirier for taking that fight because that's a tough fight, man. And then this weekend we got Ankalaev, Johnny Walker, the rematch. So if you guys need a place to make some money this weekend, BetUS promo code Iceman. You already know. And Magomed Ankalaev is going to completely destroy Johnny Walker, just like he was doing in the first fight before that illegal knee landed. Johnny Walker just has no answer. The striking's better of Ankalaev, and obviously the grappling is not even close. So Ankalaev, I think he's going to probably get the finish in this one. He's going to finish Johnny Walker, and he's been unfortunate lately because he had that draw to with John Blachowicz, and then his last fight was a no contest to Johnny Walker. And if he won that fight, he probably would have had a title shot, but just unfortunate because I think after this one, he'd give him a title shot. Guy's 18-1, one of the best guys in that division. So, and he's on a huge win streak. His only loss was, to Paul Craig in that last second of the third round, which was like 5 years ago. And he's been flawless other than that triangle. So this guy's the real deal. So this is interesting. Co-main event: Manel Cape against Mateus Nicolau. If you guys don't know Manel Cape, he's the guy who was like arguing with Izzy Adesanya at that time before the Strickland fight. And Manel Cape um, has already fought Mateus Nicolau 2 years ago, and Nicolau just dominated. Sorry, it wasn't domination; it was a split decision. And this is interesting because he's already lost to Nicolau, and now he's going in and he's a huge favorite against Nicolau. I do think Manel Cape should get it done, but to be honest, I'm not confident in betting Manel Cape at all. His last performance against Dos Santos, the undefeated Brazilian, he did not look good, man. He was getting tagged. He was winning. He won the fight, but he got rocked a couple good times there by Felipe Dos Santos. So I am by no means feeling confident in betting Manel Cape on this one, but I do think he should get the decision victory. Now we got Jim Miller. This guy's got the most fights in UFC history at 42, I believe, and now this is going to be his 43rd fight, taking on Gabriel Benitez. And Gabriel Benitez is a pretty decent striker in his own right, and taking on Jim Miller. Jim Miller's been pretty flawless though, his last four fights. He's got only 4 or 5 fights. He's only one loss, and that was a decision to Alex Hernandez. I think I'm going to go with Jim Miller on this one. I think the veteran's going to get it done. Even odds, I'll go with Jim Miller. Ricky Simone taking on Mario Bautista. So Ricky Simone, this guy was on a roll, and then he fought Yadong Song. Yadong Song, that was the real deal. Got that finish in the fifth round. Don't count out Ricky Simone just because of that Yadong Song fight, because Song's for real, and Mario Bautista is not on the same level of a Yadong Song. He just hasn't fought the same level of competition, other than maybe his fight with the Sandman Sandhagen, which didn't even go out of the first round. Sandhagen finished him quickly. And yeah, I think Ricky Simone should easily get this one done, and slight favorite going into that one. But after you get knocked out, that's the thing is never know how these fighters are going to come back. So next is Phil Hawes taking on Bruno Ferreira. So this is interesting. Phil Hawes is a guy who's got a lot of hype coming up behind him. Great wrestling background, decent striker, and now he's taking on Bruno Ferreira. So Phil Hawes, his last fight he fought Ikram Aliskerov. So if you guys don't know Ikram, he's a combat sambo world champion. Great fighter. He's like 13-1 or 14-1. His only loss was to Hamzat Chimaev, which ended up being that highlight reel uppercut knockout in Hamzat's record. But Phil Hawes has not been looking good, man. He's got 3 losses in his last 4 fights, all finishes in the first round, and he got knocked out in all 3 of those. Roman Dolidze finished him, and Chris Curtis finished him pretty badly. Now he's fighting Bruno Ferreira, and Bruno Ferreira, I didn't know this guy until he came onto the scene and knocked out the RoboCop, and I was like, whoa, this guy is for real. He knocked out RoboCop in the first round. Gregory Rodriguez is for real. So the fact that he knocked out RoboCop in the first round, I know he got finished in his last fight against Nursultan, but I think Phil Hawes time's up, and 3 KO losses in the first round out of your last 4 fights. I think it's Phil Hawes is gonna get KO'd by this guy. Even odds, that's a pretty good bet, Bruno Ferreira, because I think he should get the job done. So Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky, the oldest guy on the card, one of the oldest guys actually in the UFC, 44 years old. I believe he's got the second most UFC fights behind Jim Miller at 40. And, that's incredible, man. This guy's been doing it 20 plus years. Only thing is, he's coming off 2 straight losses, both of them being finishes. And, they have a similar opponent in Marcos Rogério de Lima, who finished them both. And I got to go with Waldo Cortez Acosta, man, 8 years or like 10 years, 12 years younger, sorry. 12 years younger, bigger, stronger, hits hard. I got to go with Waldo Cortez Acosta, but hey, these veterans got it, man. And if this fight stays on the feet, man, that's Andre Arlovsky's world. He's super confident in the striking game, so you never know. You never know. But I don't feel confident betting a 44-year-old Andre Arlovsky, to be honest, coming off 2 straight losses. Matthew Semmelsberger taking on Preston Parsons. I'll take Matthew Semmelsberger. He's just fought better guys. Preston Parsons, haven't seen really too much of him. Marcus McGee, the Maniac. So I was super impressed with his last performance. That right hook when he just destroyed JP Buys, coming off 4 straight finish wins. I like this guy. I know he lost to Nascimento and LFA. That was his last loss. But other than that, man, this guy's been pretty flawless. 8-1 record. I think he gets the job done here. But this next fighter is the guy I've been telling you guys about for a while. The Basharat Bros. These 2 Afghan brothers. These boys are for real. Great strikers, but their ground games are phenomenal. High level. And people, the look in their eyes when, these Basharat Bros get a hold of them, they're like, oh my God. And, this guy fought Cledson Rodriguez. We bet him against Cledson Rodriguez, just destroyed Rodriguez, arm triangled him in the first round. Now he's fighting Taylor, and Taylor's a good fighter. 19 wins, 3 losses. He's on a big win streak in himself. 6 wins in a row he's won. But he's just never fought anybody like the Basharat Bros that have that grappling. So if this fight stays on the feet, that's what Taylor wants. But the fact that, these Basharat Bros are super strong grapplers, I got to go with Basharat. And he's probably a guy you want to add on one of your parlays, maybe see what Ankalaev is for finish when the method of victory bets come out. But I'll take Basharat Bros all day. I've been taking those brothers forever, even before the UFC. Gene Silva minus 1,000 to fight Weston Wilson. This Weston Wilson's guy, this is the guy they bring in to build up the fighters, right? Build up these younger guys. They don't want to put them against top fighters. So they'll bring him in. He's got a 16 wins, 8 losses, 500 record. Not impressive at all. Plus 600 going into this fight. I think, clearly, he's going to get crushed by Gene Silva, as the odds makers have it. And Tom Nolan, this guy's for real, the big train they call him. Not too many guys you'll see coming into UFC at 6-0, but unless they have a lot of hype behind him, he's the guy who's got a lot of hype behind him. He fights at 155 and he walks around at 6'3". That's like Jalen Turner size. This guy's big for that weight class, tall. And if you guys look here, look, 9.40 significant strikes landed per minute. He's going to destroy Nicholas Mota. If you guys don't know Nicholas Mota, he's the guy who got, absolutely just rocked by Jim Miller. And, Jim Miller is like, what, 40 years old now? I think Tom Nolan's absolutely going to destroy Nicholas Mota. You got to take this guy for real. Tom Nolan's for real. Joshua Van taking on Felipe Boons. So this is another guy. Felipe Boons, 13 wins, 6 losses, has never fought in the UFC before, right? So that means the UFC is signing him just to put him against guys to build, right? Joshua Van, 22 years old, great record, 9-1. Um, he's a guy, significant strikes, also 9.2. That's a lot landed per minute. 9 strikes landed per minute. That's a high output. Only 22 years old. And they're bringing in this Brazilian kid to just feed him to Joshua Van, in my opinion, right? 13 wins, 6 losses, not impressive at all. So I got to go with Joshua Van on the win, that one. Yeah, the guy's never been fought in the UFC before. So I'll go with Van on that one. And yeah, those are your picks. And wait till next weekend. We got the weekend after, sorry, Strickland and Duplessis. And these cards just getting more stacked and more stacked coming up to UFC 300, which is that's going to be absolute fireworks, hopefully. And hopefully no one pulls out. But yeah, let's make that money out.